Now, talks have begun to expedite the process to register Gilead Sciences' twice-a-year anti-HIV injection in South Africa. Gilead Sciences has approached the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority to discuss how to get the shot registered locally as fast as possible. Joining us for more on this is Bhekisisa founder and editor-in-chief, Malan. Good evening, Mia. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, you wrote this article on the current developments around the twice-a-year injection being approved in the country very soon, or at least registered in the country. I must say the fact that there is some sort of movement is excellent news. But before we get to how far talks are, let's start with the efficacy of this drug, Lenacapavir. The results were published in July. How effective is it?
So the Lenacapavir that you take, as you mentioned, twice a year is really effective. The results in July showed us that it was 100% effective to protect women between the ages of 16 and 24 against HIV infection. So we're talking about HIV negative women who then may have sex with someone who's HIV positive. And in that trial, no one who took this injection got to have HIV. Then there was also a trial and another group of people that was released earlier this month at a large conference. And that looked at non-binary people, at gay and bisexual men, and that in that group it provided 96% protection against HIV infection.
So Mia, this drug is essentially similar to the pre-exposure prophylaxis or PrEP, some call it, which is of course a daily pill to prevent one from being infected with HIV, but this time around it will just be a twice-a-year injection.
Yes, so anything that you take to prevent yourself from getting infected with a virus is called pre-exposure prophylaxis because it's before you get exposed to the germ that you want to be protected against. So the daily pill is also very good in protecting you, and it's available at almost all government clinics for free in the country. But the challenge with a pill is that you need to take it every single day in order for it to be effective. It's not like a vaccine that you take and then you have long-term protection. And if people then don't take it every single day, it works less well. So if you're only going to take it 3 times a week, it's not going to give you full protection. So it's good if we give people options, because some people are good with taking pills. Some people don't like injections and would prefer pills. But this injection, because it only has to be taken twice a year, scientists are very hopeful that people will adhere to it pretty well.
So how exactly is it administered? Is there a specific space or place in your body where you would be injected? Does one take the injections home and inject themselves twice a year, or it specifically has to be done by a health practitioner?
So we're not at the point where it can be self-injected. It's injected just under your skin, normally in your tummy, and you get 2 injections for each visit that you go to so that you get the full dose, and you do have to go to a health worker. So what researchers are looking at, how can you combine it, for instance, with contraception? Because in our country, the group who are acquiring HIV at the fastest rate is women between 15 and 24. And that's the same group of women who also often go for contraception to clinics. So we're looking at ways at how can you do it together. There's even trials that look at, putting it in one injection. If you, for instance, go for an injection, it could be contraceptives, and it could also be anti-HIV medication. But at the moment, we're not there where we have the all-in-one injection. We just have it separately. And in order for that to be rolled out in South Africa, we first need to have it registered by our medicines regulator, SAHPRA.
Now, speaking of SAHPRA, it's believed that it would take long for them to conduct the review on its own. Why exactly is this?
So SAHPRA is a very competent body. The World Health Organization has a way in which they classify medicines regulators, and SAHPRA is considered a well-functioning, stable body. But the problem with SAHPRA is it's got an inadequate budget. So while they have the technical expertise to evaluate the data of pharmaceutical companies to see if a medicine works, they take very long to do it. And our figures show us in South Africa, we still have 400 new infections each day for HIV in the country. So each day or month that they take longer to do that, we have more infections. So what's going to happen is they're going to partner with the European Medicines Agency, which has a lot more resources, under a special program where they help countries like South Africa so that we can see this done quicker. To give you an idea of a timeline, is there's another injection that you can take once every 2 months that's called cabotegravir, and SAPRA took about 14 months to evaluate that data. If they work with the EMA, which is the European Medicines Agency, this can be reduced to 7 months. That's the maximum time that it will take. It could even be shorter.
And then on affordability, how affordable would this drug be? And most importantly, what process then will our country's health department embark on in deciding if this drug will actually be beneficial for our country?
Now, that's a very important question, because it doesn't help to have good medicines in the world if the people who really need it can't afford it, because then they'll never be able to use it. Now, at the moment, Gilead has not announced the price yet that they will sell lenacapavir as prevention at, but they have said that there are 18 countries, of which South Africa is one, that they will provide it to at a no-profit price.
Okay.
We are hoping for cheaper generics to become available in 2027, but until then, we are looking at Gilead to announce a price. Now, advocates are campaigning very hard that they hope that a year's supply, so, the 4 doses, 2 doses of each, 1 dose per visit, but 2 injections per visit, should not come to more than $100 a year. That's still higher than what South Africa can afford, so donors will intervene. When our health department looks at what can we afford to pay, they always compare it to what does the HIV prevention pill cost us. And a study for the 2-monthly injection, which is called cabotegravir, by our Essential Medicines List Committee, showed that at best, for it to be cost effective, we should not be paying more than double than what we pay for the HIV prevention pill. And if we use that reasoning for lenacapavir, then that $100 a year is still a little bit more than what we can afford. So we're hoping for donors to help countries like South Africa, but also other African countries, to be able to afford this, because the $100 estimation can only be done if there are at least 1 million users per year, because they look at economies of scale.
But one would say perhaps the benefits outweigh the costs in this respect, because you've spoken about the uptake on the pill that many would forget, but here it would be a twice-a-year injection. So probably this would be more effective in ensuring that we reduce the infection rate. But Mia, thank you very much for your time this evening. That was Bhekisisa founder and editor-in-chief Mia Malan sharing developments around the registering of the twice-yearly anti-HIV jab.